These are the most overrated players currently in the NFL. Not really much else to say. That's pretty much what it is. If you disagree with anyone on this list or you do feel I forgot someone, be sure to let me know down in the comments. Leave a like on this video if you do enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that said, let's get around to it. We're going to start out with Juju SmithSchuster. In the 2017 and 2018 seasons, Juju SmithSchuster was one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And he was only in his very early 20s. He still is in his 20s and he's still pretty early in them. But he looked like a beast alongside Antonio Brown in that Pittsburgh team. He became the youngest player to reach 1,500 and 2,500 receiving yards. Became the youngest player to record 150 receiving yards in a game. Like at this time, the world was sort of his oyster. During that span, he was 10th in the NFL in receiving yards, and he tied 9th in the NFL in touchdowns with 14. I'm not going to count this year because this year he was hurt for a vast majority of it. The next year, this was the year after Antonio Brown left Pittsburgh and Juju became the #1 guy. He had 70 targets thrown to him, which he completed 60% of, 150th in the NFL, 552 total receiving yards, which was 77th in the league, with 3 touchdowns. Now this one, I will cut him a little bit of slack because I watched for that year. I watched a decent amount of Steeler games that year. Ben never threw him the ball. It was crazy. And boy, oh boy, the next year did he make up for it a little bit more. 128 targets, to which he completed 76% of them, which was tied for 39th in the NFL. He had 832 yards, which was 39th in the NFL, and 9 touchdowns, which tied 10th in the NFL. Well, he was able to improve ever so slightly from that last year. It's still not a year that a lot of people really thought that he could have. Again, look at the first 2 years of his career and look at the last 2 up to this point. Again, this season I'm not even going to talk about because he was hurt. When he was alongside Antonio Brown, people thought that this guy was going to be the future of the NFL, and I'm not going to say that he's not. I think it's way too early in his career to say so, but right now I'm going to say it's not looking too promising. Also, the 2019 season kind of fucked me in fantasy. Like, I got to the Final Four in fantasy, and I needed big games, and Juju did not deliver, so fuck you, Juju. Marshawn Latimore is someone I really don't feel like anyone says anything bad about, but every time I watch a Saints game and I pay attention to Marshawn Latimore, dude just gets burned all the time. He has 3 interceptions on the year. He allowed 826 receiving yards, which is the 5th most in the NFL. 7 passing touchdowns, which was also tied for 5th most in the NFL. And what did he get for this accomplishment right here? He got a Pro Bowl. Now, I know everyone talks about how the Pro Bowl doesn't mean anything, but at the end of the day, the Pro Bowl rewards people and recognizes people who had played fantastic this year. So it doesn't entirely mean everything, but at the same time, it's still an accomplishment. I do feel like there are people who could have gotten this recognition. Trayvon Diggs, had to be on here. Trayvon Diggs was not only a Pro Bowler, but a first-team All-Pro. And this led to a lot of scrutiny online from NFL fans. He did lead the NFL in interceptions. However, he also led in yards allowed with 907, as well as having 4 touchdowns allowed. The argument is not that Trayvon Diggs is a bad player as a whole. The argument is that he's terrible with his coverage. You've probably seen clips all over from the playoff run that they had earlier this year, where he just got absolutely smoked by Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk. And I'm not saying he's a scrub, but Brandon Ayuk. So yeah, if he's able to get that yardage down to even like 200 or 300 less, then I do think a lot of people will change their opinion of him. Only until then will they. DK Metcalf, I don't feel like a lot of people overrate DK Metcalf anymore, but in my opinion, he's still talked about as if he's like a top 15 receiver, and he really isn't. 129 targets were thrown to him, which he completed 58% of them, 177th in the NFL this season. He had 967 yards, which was 28th in the NFL, and 12 touchdowns, which was 4th in the NFL. I know people use the word merchant a lot to describe a lot of things. Like, people call the aforementioned Trayvon Diggs a pick merchant. They call Patrick Mahomes a check down merchant. But DK Metcalf is quite literally a touchdown merchant. He only gets deep plays. Like, it's always between him and Tyler Lockett with Russell Wilson, so it's always hard to tell. But Tyler Lockett is clearly the better receiver on that team, yet he has half the touchdowns that DK Metcalf has. Metcalf didn't even break 1,000 yards this year. There's no logical reason why he should have 12 touchdowns. Not to me anyways. Odell Beckham is someone that I felt's been a little overrated, even during the Giants days, if you look back. I'm not going to lie, at some points this year, he did look very good. However, people still think that he is the Odell of old. People still treat this guy like he's a top 5 receiver. 82 targets, which completed a little under 54% of those. 200th in the NFL in that. 537 yards, which was 82nd in the NFL, and he had 5 touchdowns. Am I saying he's a terrible player? No. And he did not play a decent amount of the season, to his credit. Still, this is just mostly on the people at this point. But why? Why do this to this poor man? Also, I know he is currently dealing with an ACL injury, and I would love to see him back on the field whenever he's healthy. But given how many injuries he's already had, and this is an injury to the same leg that he's already screwed up, I don't know how likely that is. So either way, I'm sending my best wishes out. For years, Taysom Hill was known as the Swiss Army knife type player where he can literally do anything. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball, he can catch the ball, he can block. Over the last 2 years, he's had to play a decent amount of quarterback, as there were points where Drew Brees was out, and then there was a point where Jameis Winston was hurt for the season. And after trying out Trevor Siemian for a month, the Saints decided to go with Taysom Hill. Now, to his credit, when he did play quarterback, the Saints won games. They were 4-1 with Taysom Hill at quarterback, but he threw 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 978 yards, 58% completion, a 75 passer rating. He had over 5 yards to carry on 50 attempts, 270 yards. His contract currently up to $140 million if he becomes the team's permanent starting quarterback. I don't know what their situation is going to be looking like this year with Jameis Winston, if he's going to be coming back or whatnot. It's going to be I think it's going to be between Taysom Hill and Ian Book. If that one performance on Monday Night Football kind of showed anyone anything, it's that Book has potential for certain things, but he needs to develop. Taysom Hill is probably one of the more mediocre quarterbacks, but yet he is going to potentially make $140 million. That is crazy. And the Saints wonder why they're in debt. That is my list of the most overrated players from the 2021 NFL season. Let me know what you guys think about this list down in the comments section. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do enjoy and you want to see some more videos like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that said, that's it for me. I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.